Thank you so much for choosing our embassy to host this important conference. We're really happy, and I wish you every success in your deliberation. Thank you so much. I now invite my colleague Almaz from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ethiopia, who is here fortunately for another important meeting, to deliver her remarks. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Center for the Rights of Ethiopian Women, I want to welcome you to our 8th annual conference. This conference is held every year in the month of March to commemorate International Women's, and the theme for this year is Empowering Visionary Women. Without further ado, I would like to invite the chair of CREW, my mother, Roman Abata.
Thank you, Roha. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your patience. It's my honor and privilege to serve as the acting chair for Center for the Rights of Ethiopian Women, CREW. CREW was established as an outcome of a successful international conference on Ethiopian women in the diaspora that was held in March 2012. Prior to that, CREW existed under another name, Ethiopian Women for Peace and Development, EWPD, that was originally established in 1991. It is a nonprofit, non-government, peace and human rights organization dedicated to promoting the rights of Ethiopian women worldwide through education and advocacy. Since its establishment, CREW has addressed several critical issues that pertain to the rights of Ethiopian women worldwide. Soon after it was created, the organization focused on the plights of Ethiopian women domestic workers in the Middle Eastern countries. Accordingly, it has launched a campaign to create awareness about the slavery-like situations in which the Ethiopian domestic workers live and to challenge the international community to address their situations. We demanded that countries who import workers need to be pressured to adhere to international labor law. CREW urged the Ethiopian government to protect its citizens anywhere in the world. CREW has worked on helping resettle those workers particularly deported en masse from Saudi Arabia, forming a relationship with local organizations in Ethiopia, providing temporary shelter, medical service, and job training so that they could be self-sufficient. CREW campaigned and created awareness around cases of domestic workers who suffered injury or loss of life because of their working condition. For example, we closely worked with a CNN reporter and World Anti-Slavery Organization, so Shoaye, who was a burn victim, can access over $40,000 US raised to assist her. Locally, here we have recognized Ethiopian women who have achieved success for themselves and help other members of the community by hiring them. We offered seminars on different issues that are near and dear to our community and other critical issues related to the rights of Ethiopian women. Also, this year is our second year that CREW holds an award ceremony in collaboration with Dr. Maiganet Shifarao family. Dr. Maiganet was one of the founders of CREW, and she tirelessly advocated for women's equality. Dr. Gertacho will tell us about the foundation later in the program, and the foundation award will be presented to this year's awardee also later. We believe that women's rights are human rights. Understanding the complex issue of gender equality in the context of the political, cultural, and economic environment in Ethiopia is important. A transformative approach is required to empower women. so that they could advance their rights. Women's active involvement to bring about peace, equality, and democracy is vital to the development of our society. We at CREW believe, without a doubt, when our new Prime Minister appointed women for all the leadership role and put 50% women in his cabinet, he was considering what was missing and determined the balancing beam, the misoso, the pillar to the house is the woman. It is the nature of woman and her vision to lead with nurturing and giving mantra, as that is the way she brings her children into the world. It is the woman's nature to put others' benefit and well-being ahead of herself. Although Dr. Abiy said women are less corrupt than men, these women got this position not just because they were women, but because of their hard work, and we appreciate his recognition of them. Again, peace is the key to the success of our country. No one will win with conflict. Only when there is peace and civil discussion, everyone wins. We encourage all to move forward in creating opportunity for all Ethiopians to live in harmony as fellow citizens. Today, our speakers are here to do just that, encourage and motivate us how we could empower each other and inspire us to be excited in the future of our country. We invite, especially the young people, to get involved by becoming a member of our organization. There's so much we could do if we collaborate and aim for the greater good of our country. We all have a responsibility to promote the basic rights of people, respect the rule of law, and help create a tolerant environment where peace, human dignity, and democratic values can flourish. In the words of President Obama, you will not have a purpose on life until you stop thinking about yourself and think about how you could be useful to others. I thank you for coming. I'm real happy to see so many new faces. Let us work together and not fail our people. Let us join hands and work for everlasting peace, as that is the only way that we can all be truly free. Thank you. I now invite Kadis Garamo, who is going to be introducing our speakers for today. Oh, completely sorry. We have a special guest that we were fortunate enough to, how soon did I forget? Fortunate enough to have here. I invite Wizaro Almaz, who is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for Women, Children, and Youth, and she's the Director General. Wizaro Almaz.
Wizaro Roman Avata, Chair of Center for the Rights of Ethiopian Women in America, Dr. Menna Demise, Secretary of the Ethiopian Diaspora Trust Fund Advisory Board and the Vice President of Policy and Research at the Congressional Black Causes Foundation, dear Mr. Binyam Shetu, Head of Diaspora Division at the Ifedri Ethiopian Embassy, Washington, D.C., all protocol observed. First of all, I would like to thank for inviting me to deliver my speech today, and I'm happy to be among you today on your annual conference. The government of Ethiopia is explicitly committed to achievement of gender equality. The Constitution of Article 89.7, and as we know, as we all are known, Article 35, our special right of women, Article 35 at the Ethiopian Constitution, states that government shall ensure the participation of women equality with men in all economic and social development endeavors, clearly stipulating the rights of women in the comprehensive women policy of Ethiopia reiterates the government commitment of gender equality. The revised Federal Criminal Code and Regional Family Law support measure of different forms of gender-based violence, including child marriage and female genital cutting. In addition, the National Poverty Reduction Strategy has included addressing gender inequality as one of its 8 pillars. As Waziri Roman mentioned in her speech, as part of transformation, Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed is rewarding the contribution of women to the nation's progress and participation in nation building, naming a record 50% female representatives, cabinet including defense, trade, transport, and the newly established Ministry of Peace that will tackle ethnic violence in Ethiopia. The new cabinet will be expected to reform their respective ministries, remove the wall of bureaucracy, bring innovation and technology to provide service efficiently. Ethiopia also appointed first female president in its modern history, Sahle-Work Zawde, as a veteran on the United Nations and the diplomatic corps. In her remarks to Parliament, Sahle-Work emphasized that the importance of respecting women and the need to build a society that rejects the oppression of women and push for gender parity in Ethiopia. To concrete and symbolic steps being taken on both national and regional levels show that the Ethiopian leadership is making impressive strides towards the path of promise to widen the democratic space and foster national reconciliation. To make a country development, continuity of the role of women, to make a country development sustainable and to ensure it is continuity, the role of women is not denied issues. To assure the sustainable of this reform, the reform which we are doing in Ethiopia, and the empowering of women and gender equality, I would like to invite and request our respected Ethiopians and Ethiopian origins to come and support the continuity and the sustainability of our reform and ensuring women empowerment and gender equality for achieving our sustainable development goal by 2030. I thank you. I have another Amharic speech, sorry. As my brother mentioned, I came to America for the Commission of Status of Women 63 Annual Conference in New York, and they invited me to attend this meeting. So it is not well being preparation of a speech anyway. Let me deliver my Amharic speech as well. Thank you very much. የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ ሮማን አባተ የሴንተር ፎር ዘ ራይትስ ኦፍ ኢትዮጵያን ውመን አሶሲዬሽን በአሜሪካ ሰብሳቢ፣ የተከበሩ ወይዘሮ መና ደምሴ፣ የተከበራችሁ የዚህ አሶሲዬሽን አባላት፣ የበዓሉ ታዳሚዎች፣ እንዲሁም የተከበራችሁ በአሜሪካ ዋሽንግተን ዲሲ ኢትዮጵያ ኤምባሲ ዲፕሎማቶችና ሰራተኞች፣ በመጀመሪያ ደረጃ በዚህ ለ8ኛ ጊዜ በመታከብሩት ዓመታዊ በዓላችሁ እንግዳ ሆኜ በመካከላችሁ እንድገኝ ስለጋበዛችሁኝ በራሴና በውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስቴር የሴቶች ህፃናትና ወጣቶች ጽሕፈት ቤት ስም ከልብ አመሰግናለሁ። በመጀመሪያ በዓለም ለ108ኛ ጊዜ ያው ማርች ወርን ምክንያት በማድረግ ስለሆነ መገናኘታችሁ ምክንያት ቲንክ ኢኳል ቢልድ ስማርት ኢኖቬት ፎር ቼንጅ በሚል በዓለማችን ለ108ኛ ጊዜ በአገራችን ደግሞ የላቀ ትኩረትና ቁርጠኝነት ለሴቶች ሁለንተናዊ ተሳትፎና ተጠቃሚነት በሚል መሪ ቃል ማርች ወርን በሙሉ እያከበርነው ነው ያለው። በተጨማሪም እናንተ እያከበራችሁት ላለው 8ኛ ዓመት የማህበራችሁ የምስረታና የመገናኘት በዓል እንኳን አደረሳችሁ ለማለት እወዳለሁ። የዓለማችን ሴቶች በተለያዩ የተዛቡ አመለካከቶችና የባህል ተጽዕኖዎች ምክንያት በህብረተሰብ ውስጥ የሚገባቸውን ቦታ ይዘው ሰብአዊ መብቶቻቸው ተጠብቆላቸው በሀገር ልማት ውስጥ ሊያደርጉ የሚችሉትንና የሚገባቸውን ተሳትፎ እንዳያደርጉ የሚገድቡ አሰራሮች ድርጊቶች እንደነበሩና እስካሁንም እንዳልተቀረፉ ይታወቃል። ዲሞክራሲያዊ የሆነ መንግስት ስርዓት ይከተላሉ የሚባሉ አብዛኛዎቹ የምዕራብ ሀገራት አሜሪካን እናንተን ሀገር ጨምሮ የሴቶች መብትና ጥቅም ለማስከበር የሚያስችሉ በቂ የሆኑ የህግ ማዕቀፎችና አደረጃጀቶች አልነበሩም። ይልቁንም የነበረው ፖለቲካዊና ኢኮኖሚያዊ መዋቅር የሴቶችን መብትና ጥቅም የማያካትትና የሚያገል ነበር። በመሆኑም ሴቶች ከነዚህ ጭቆናዎች ለመላቀቅ ሰፊ ትግል አድርገዋል። በትግላቸውም ውጤቶችን አስመዝግበዋል። የሀገራችን ሴቶች በተዛቡ አመለካከቶችና የባህል ተጽዕኖዎች ምክንያት በአገራቸው ኢኮኖሚያዊ፣ ማህበራዊና ፖለቲካዊ እንቅስቃሴዎች ከወንዶች እኩል ተሳታፊና ተጠቃሚ ከመሆን አኳያ በርካታ ችግሮች የነበሩ መሆናቸው የሚታወስ ነው። በመሆኑም ከችግሩ ለመላቀቅ ሴቶች በጋራና በተናጠል በመታገል ለውጥ ማምጣት እየቻሉ ነው፣ ችለዋል፣ እየቻሉም ነው። ሆኖም ግን የስርዓተ ጾታ እኩልነትንና በተግባር ከማረጋገጥ አንጻር በአገራችን ለረጅም ጊዜ የቆየውን ያመለካከትና የአሰራር ችግሮች ለመቅረፍ ሰፊ ትግል የሚፈልግና ጾታን ሳይመርጥ የሁሉንም ሰው አስተዋጽኦ የሚሻ ጉዳይ ነው። የሴቶች ጉዳይ የዓለም፣ የሀገር፣ የማህበረሰብ ወይም የእያንዳንዱ ግለሰብ ጥረትን የሚጠይቅ ቢሆንም ሴቶች ለለውጡ ቁልፍና ተዋናይ መሆን ይጠበቅባቸዋል። ክቡራትና ክቡራን፣ በአሁኑ ሰዓት በአገራችን እየተካሄደ ያለውን ለውጥ ተከትሎ ከሀገራችን ርዕሰ ብሔር ጀምሮ የጠቅላይ ፍርድ ቤት ፕሬዝዳንት፣ የብሔራዊ ምርጫ ቦርድ ሰብሳቢና ሌሎች ከፍተኛ ቁልፍ የኃላፊነት ቦታዎች በሴቶች እንዲመሩ መደረጉ፣ 50% የሚኒስትር ካቢኔ አባላት ሴቶች መሆናቸው በአገራችን ሴቶችን በሚመለከት በላቀ ትኩረትና ቁርጠኝነት ለሴቶች ሁለንተናዊ ተሳትፎ እና ተጠቃሚነት በስፋት እየተሰራ መሆኑ አብይ ማሳያ ነው። ይህ ታሪካዊ የለውጥ ውሳኔና ድልም አገራችን የተባበሩት መንግስታት ድርጅት ዋና ጸሐፊን ጨምሮ በመላው ዓለም ከፍተኛ አድናቆትንና ምስጋናን ያገኘችበት፣ ቁጥራቸው ቀላል ባልሆኑ የሚዲያ ተቋማት በዓለም የተዘገበበት፣ በዚህ ረገድ አገራችን በዓለም አደባባይ ከፍ ያለችበት ከመሆኑ በተጨማሪ በቅርቡ በአገራችን በተካሄደው 32ኛው የአፍሪካ ህብረት የአፍሪካ መሪዎች ስብሰባ ላይም ሁላችንም በሚዲያ እንደተከታተልነው ክቡር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትራችን ዶክተር አብይ አህመድ በውመን ኤምፓወርመንት እና ጀንደር ኢኳሊቲ አዋርድ ያገኙበት፣ ይሄ ደግሞ ይህን ላበረከቱት ከፍተኛ አስተዋጽኦ ይህንን ታሪካዊ ውሳኔ በዚህ ታሪካዊ ውሳኔያቸው መሸለማቸውን ለሀገራችን ብቻም ሳይሆን ለአህጉራችን አፍሪካም እንዲሁም በመላው ዓለም ለምንገኝ ሴቶች ሁሉ ተጠቃሚነት ትልቅ ኩራት ሆኖ ትልቅ መሰረት የጣለው ሆኖ አግኝተነዋል። ይሁንና እስካሁን የተመዘገቡት ውጤቶች እንደተጠበቁ ሆነው ውጤቶቹ በአገር አቀፍ ደረጃ በሁሉም መስክ በሚፈለገው ደረጃ እስከ ቀበሌ ድረስ የሀገራችን ሴቶች፣ የሀገራችን ህፃናት፣ የሀገራችን ልጃገረዶች አስተዋጽኦ ለማስፋትና ከፍታውን መጠኑን ለመጨመር መላው የሀገራችን ሴቶች ኑሯቸው እንዲሻሻል፣ ኢኮኖሚያቸው እንዲጨምር፣ ሁሉም ሴቶች ተጠቃሚ የሚሆኑባቸው ማህበራዊ አገልግሎቶች እንዲስፋፉ፣ ተደራሽ እንዲሆኑ፣ መሰረተ ልማት እንዲስፋፋ ከማድረግና በአገራችን የተጀመረውን ለውጥ ከማስቀጠል አንጻር ብዙ መስራት ይጠበቅብናል። ስለሆነም የሀገራችን ሴቶች ሁሉን አቀፍ ተሳትፎ በመጨመርና የጀንደር ኢኳሊቲ ስርዓተ ጾታ ማካተት እንዲረጋገጥ በማድረግ እናንተ የዚህ በዓል ታዳሚዎች ሆናችሁ በአሜሪካን ሀገር የምትኖሩ ኢትዮጵያውያንና ትውልድ ኢትዮጵያውያን ድርሻችሁ ትልቅ በመሆኑ በእውቀታችሁ በገንዘባችሁ በምክራችሁ ባላችሁ ጊዜ ሌሎቹንም ደግሞ በየምትሰሩበት ስራም ባላችሁ ኔትወርክ መንግስታትንም ተጽዕኖ መፍጠር የምትችሉ ናችሁና በእውቀታችሁን በማሸጋገር ኢንቨስትመንትን በማስፋፋት እሱ መደበኛው ኤምባሲ ስራ ነው እነሱ በኋላ ለነሱ ተወውና አጠቃላይ ግን ይህንን በማህበራችሁም ሆነ በግላችሁ የምትችሉትን ሁሉ ዘርፈ ብዙ አስተዋጽኦ በማድረግ በአገራችን የተጀመረው የሴቶች ተሳትፎ መጨመርና የስርዓተ ጾታ መረጋገጥ በማድረግ የዘላቂ ልማት ግቦቹን የሳስተይነብል ዲቨሎፕመንት ጎልስ እሱን ማረጋገጥ እና እሱን አችብ ማድረግ እንድንችል ጥሬን አቀርባለሁ በራሴ እና በውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስቴር የሴቶች ህጻናትና ወጣቶች ጽሕፈት ቤት ስም ጥሬን አቀርባለሁ ከጎናችን እንደምትሆኑ እኮራባችኋለሁ እርግጠኛ ነኝ በዚህ አጋጣሚ ክብርት የኢፌዴሪ የሴቶች ህጻናት ወጣቶች ሚኒስቴር ነበሩና ሌላ ሀገራዊ ኮሚትመንት ስለገጠማቸው ነው በመካከላችሁ ቢገኙ ደስ ይላቸው ነበር ነገር ግን አስቸኳይ ነገር ስለገጠማቸው ነው ያልተገኙት ወደፊት እኔ ኦን ቢሃፍ ኦፍ ሚኒስትሪ ኦፍ ፎሬን አፌርስ አንድ ዲፓርትመንት ሆኜ ነው የምጠይቃቸው ነገር ግን ከዚህ በሰፊው ወደፊትም እሳቸውም የሚመጡበትን ሁኔታ ከኤምባሲው ጋር አመቻችተን ሌሎችም ሴት አመራሮች እኛ ያው ድልድይ ሆነን ነው እንደ ውጭ ጉዳይ ብናገለግል በዚህ እናንተን የሚያገኙበት ጊዜ ሩቅ ላይሆን ይችላል ብዬ ከእግዚአብሔር ጋር ተስፋ አደርጋለሁ አመሰግናለሁ
Thank you, Wetzoramas. I really appreciate that. My understanding is that she came down from New York this morning, so I really appreciate that you actually, took the time and delivered this message and be part of our conference. Thank you again. I now invite Kadis Garamo to introduce our next speaker.
እንደምን ዋላችሁ I'll introduce the first speaker. It's Dr. Manna Demise. Dr. Manna Demise is the Vice President of Policy Analysis and Research at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, Inc. She leads the foundation's research and policy initiatives that affect African American on the global Black community in areas including education, criminal justice, economic opportunities, voting, and environmental sustainability. Among many others, in her capacity, Dr. Demise has spearheaded several partnerships with the White House Congress, the Annie E. Casey Foundation, and other nonprofit stakeholders to advance strategic efforts to influence and inform public policy. Prior to joining the CBCF, Dr. Demise was one of 5 scholars in the United States to receive the prestigious American Political Science Congressional Fellowship. For the fellowship, she joined Congresswoman Barbara Lee's team to work on federal unemployment legislation, anti-poverty initiative, and foreign affairs. She's the founder and co-managing editor of CBCF's Journal of the Center for Policy Analysis and Research, a multidisciplinary, peer-reviewed journal on public policy issues related to Black politics in the United States and abroad. Dr. Demise is the founder of the CBCF's first editorial board, an initiative she facilitated in honor of Dr. Ronald Walter's legacy of advancing and engaging scholarship in the overall mission of the CBCF. In Benin, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Nigeria, and Liberia. She also worked on democratic governance and gender equality and traveled to Kenya as an election observer in August 2017. In 2016, the District of Columbia Mayor Muriel Bowser recognized Dr. Demise with the Community Advocacy Award for her successful efforts to help secure funding from the DC City Council of the district's African communities. Additionally, in her capacity as chair of the Society of Ethiopian established in Diaspora, better known SEED, she advocates for the significance of youth civic engagement, community service, and academic excellence. Dr. Demise has interviewed with NPR, Voice of America, and other media outlets. She received her joint PhD in political science and public policy from the University of Michigan, where she conducted the first and only empirical and qualitative study of African Congressional Caucus in the US House of Representatives and significance of the Congressional Black Caucus influence on US African policy. She earned a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Law and Society with honors from Oberlin University. Yeah, I can't say that. Her topic at this point is At the Helm, What Democracy Looks Like When Women Lead. Without further ado, I present to Mena. Let me say.
I promise you I didn't tell her to read all of that. But thank you so much for that very nice, warm introduction. It's an honor to be here always with my community. So I love that the room is full on a Saturday to support and celebrate our Ethiopian women, our African women, our Black women, amazing women all over the world. I'm constantly inspired by all the work that many of you do, so I want to thank Crew especially, and Roman Abata, thank you so much. All of you that are working every day to make sure that there's a space to talk about human rights, gender equality, and do the awesome work of representing our interests and putting women at the center. I'm trying to get this right. So I thought I would start with one of my favorite poets, Nikki Giovanni, who has a poem called Woman. It's not that long. She wanted to be a blade of grass amid the fields, but he wouldn't agree to be a dandelion. She wanted to be a robin singing through the leaves, but he refused to be her tree. She spun herself into a web and, looking for a place to rest, turned to him, but he stood straight, declining to be her corner. She tried to be a book, but he wouldn't read. She turned herself into a bulb, but he wouldn't let her grow. She decided to become a woman, and though he still refused to be a man, she decided it was all right. So that's Nikki Giovanni, and as I thought about putting my remarks together today, I couldn't help but think about the first time I met Dr. Magennet Shafarau, who's the founder of Crew. Many of you know her. She's not a stranger to us, and her spirit is with us right now in this moment. So yes, we can give her a round of applause for that. While I was trying to, in grad school, find a space to empirically and qualitatively really give voice to our people, it's very difficult, even though we're celebrating so many victories in the United States in particular. You know, there still is this barrier towards visibility. And so I would go to these conferences and work with my professors, and I kept telling them, no, the Ethiopian community matters, the African community matters. Yes, we're Black, but there are all these other things that we mobilize around, and I want to tell that story in American American politics. And so I would go to these conferences and learn. And Dr. Maigannat was the first professor that I met, Ethiopian woman professor, at the Africa Studies Association conference many years ago. I cannot tell you how inspired I was to be in a room where there was someone who I could, on so many levels, connect with. She was so warm. She didn't know me. I didn't know her. She told me, she comes to the ASA conference, and I thought, oh, this is so awesome. There's someone, who I can look up to. And so she was very encouraging of the work that I did. And then many years later, I was invited by Crew to, when they were doing this work around trafficking for women, and I got to sort of meet her again. And I feel like destiny has a way of bringing, empowering people to you in many different ways. So I feel like it was meant to be that I would run into her again. And I was going through my emails that she and I have had over the years, and I'm sure this is not, again, a surprise to any of you, but I remember back in 2014 when we had this long conference. I met many amazing people around the trafficking of women, particularly in Ethiopia, but also in Eritrea, and we were working around those issues. And there was a thank you note that she sent to all of the panelists. Now, those of you who have given talks or have written thank you notes yourself, you probably handwrite a card, or maybe you mail something short. She wrote a 6-page letter of thanks to everyone that participated in this conference. And I went through it, and I wish I could read it all to you, but I was amazed that she spent this much time to thank people in so much detail, even those who were not speaking. There's those who helped make the conference successful. I do want to read a little bit of it, because I think as we sort of reflect on the big moments in gender equality and women's empowerment, a lot of it happens with the day-to-day things behind the mentorship, the sisterhood, the unity and solidarity, and the time people take in their everyday life to encourage you and to thank you for stepping up in those spaces. So she said, I'm writing this long thank you note to all of you collectively rather than individually. The intent is to accomplish several objectives in one letter: to take the opportunity to express my appreciation and to recognize your contributions to the success of our 3rd International Conference on Ethiopian Women in the Diaspora, to provide a summary of each session of the conference to inform our members and supporters who did not get a chance to participate. And so she goes through this 6-page letter. I learned about other people and their amazing accomplishments in her thank you note because it was so detailed. So she thanks Tadela Fanta, who she says is a gender specialist with many years of experience in Ethiopia. Her presentation was on the gendered nature of migration. She has done research in Yemen and Sudan about Ethiopian migrant workers. As of many, Tadela left Ethiopia and came to the US. She is one of the founding members of Crew and has provided her platform to present her research papers. Tadela, your presentation was very good as usual, and your calm, soft-spoken, and thoughtful demeanor calmed us all, and we quickly recovered from the technological crisis that befell us earlier. The second session was on the current situation of Ethiopian women migrant workers in the Middle East and about returnees from Saudi Arabia. This is in Dr. Maigannat's own voice. Our moderator was the young and vibrant Dr. Menna Demise, who was a senior policy analyst for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. Speakers Dagmawi Yimmer, a filmmaker, Jomo Tariku, a designer who works at the World Bank, the dynamic young researcher Helen Afwerk, and our own guest, Debre, I think a social worker and treasurer of Crew. And she went on to say in this letter to me, which I treasure these letters, Menna, your enthusiasm and ideas for actions were energizing. After Menna's presentation, the floor was open for discussion. This is a thank you note, y'all, right? I mean, she took time to do this, so that's why I want to read it. There was excellent participation by the audience. We had many recommendations that will be helpful for writing the resolutions of the conference. Hiwate Makonnen had taken notes of recommendations, and she has already forwarded to me. I request all panelists to send us your recommendations, the latest by this Thursday. Meron is preparing to release an official statement of the conference, and the recommendations are a very important part of the statement. Last paragraph. Finally, I would like to thank few people who were not panel participants, but who supported us to make the conference successful. Kumara Gannat, an activist and columnist for the Huffington Post, enthusiastically supported the conference when I invited him to attend it. Kumera is also a musician. He later sent me an email asking if we were interested for a musical performance. He was willing to perform with a friend who is a Palestinian singer. She was unable to do it on March 22nd. He has promised to have a musical performance at our next event, and at the conference he had suggestions on networking and advocacy. At the end, he took names of participants who are interested to form a task force for crew to implement the recommended actions to be taken. And she goes on to say, at the end, please allow me to thank my friend and husband, Dr. Getachew Metaferia, for all his support in everything I do. When I decided to retire early from my university teaching job to devote the rest of my life for what I believe in, he was totally supportive of my decision. It was a hard decision, but our modest lifestyle helped us make the choice. Now I am a full-time volunteer for Crew. Thank you all. If I have missed anyone who is involved in organizing the conference, I apologize. Maigannet Shafarao, PhD, president of Crew. So I read this to you because it's important to lift up the names, and sometimes the most impactful things in your life are not an award you put on the wall or a speech like me, that someone gives, but really the dedication and time of someone who really embodies the spirit of empowerment, but also, motherhood and sisterhood, and everything about her is the reason why someone like me can be so proud to be a woman, but also Ethiopian and African and all the multiple identities that we share. So, I hope we always continue to celebrate her spirit, and I certainly will keep this letter close because her spirit continues to be with us. And so here we are, 2019. I know I only have 15 minutes, but I will, be quick. And we are celebrating so many exciting things, right? So we have 127 women in the U.S. Congress, the first female black Muslim from Somalia, Congresswoman Ilan Omar. There's just exciting things happening, right? And I'm a political scientist, so I'm always watching the ways in which progress and equality really translate to empowerment for vulnerable communities, right? And you can see how there is this correlation with every additional woman put in power. That is an invaluable amount of progress and forward movement on very tough issues, right? And so we celebrate those moments, and we're watching as Congress shifts its mentality around women's empowerment or pushes back against oppression of women, right? And then I turn to my own histories, right? And I think, well, while the United States is celebrating many firsts, we can turn to the African continent that is celebrating its third female president, President Sahle-Work Zewde. As you all know, President Sirleaf Johnson and President Joyce Banda from Malawi have already served as presidents in Africa. So it's important for us to reverse the narrative that we can only learn from the West. In fact, our roots show that we have been very progressive long before our time, right? And so I don't find it ironic that Dr. Abiy stepped up in the way that he did, as he should, because that's part of our history, and it is monumental, and we will continue to celebrate what it means to make these bold moves, not just to provide equality for women, but to really do a good job. Right? They say when you want something to be said, ask a man, and when you want something to be done, ask a woman, right? And so Dr. Abiy has taken the mantle, and the world is watching, and women's empowerment is not just about women working hard for women, it's about men also stepping up to ensure that those spaces are there. And so we are in a very auspicious position where we can celebrate, but let us also use this moment to make sure that the cabinet members and our minister here, and that we empower them to do the work that we know they are equipped to do. Those of you who know, we celebrate in the United States people like Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman to run for office, right? How many of you know that both of her parents are immigrants? Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, her mother was from Barbados and her father was from Guyana. And so, you know, yes, she's the first African American. Again, I'm a Pan-Africanist, so we celebrate all that is Black. But it is important that we not forget that, again, our roots take us back to, you know, these stories of that are not so distant from us. Shirley Chisholm was first generation, as we say, you know, immigrant, you know, first generation immigrant, or second, they say in the academic. But basically, she's like me. Both my parents are from Ethiopia. Both of her parents are from another country outside of the United States. And she is revered in U.S. history, right, as the first Black woman to run for Congress, get elected in '68, and then turn around and run for president in 1972. But you won't hear them talk a lot about the fact that her parents are from the Caribbean, right? So think about it. Her story is really not that distant from a lot of us in this room. This is not just a story of African Americans. It's a story of people of African descent, all of us. So, you know, we should understand that that's part of our, you know, part of our nature, and it's within our blood to achieve. Now, so, you know, I watch closely, especially the freshman members of Congress, many first, Johanna Hayes from Connecticut, the first Black woman from the state of Connecticut, Ayanna Pressley, the first Black woman from the state of Massachusetts, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, as I mentioned, and you're watching them, you know, this new generation of women leaders that are speaking truth to power in a climate that is explicitly against them in all shapes and forms, right? And so as we celebrate this progress, it is not irony that we're also pushing back on other attempts to, you know, bring back these oppressive structures that have diminished the power of women. Why is that not an irony? Because every time you make progress, there are people who don't want to see that progress happen. And so it is not happenstance that under the current administration, we are pushing back as we have more Black members of Congress, as we have over 100, you know, women in Congress. What does it mean that the state of California and Nevada and I believe there's about 3 or 4 states that have both senators that are women. And so what does that mean, right? When we talk about at the helm, what does it mean when, what does it mean for democracy when women are put in these positions of power? And it means change, but not without struggle. And so if, you know, we don't want to lose sight in terms of sort of my overall points here is to not get caught too much in the celebration, right? Is to understand that, that in the celebration of these positions that women are taking, women of African descent in particular, you know, African women more specifically, and Ethiopian women even more specifically, it is important to understand that celebration means work and means stepping up and supporting them. They cannot do it on their own. Congresswoman Maxine Waters says this all the time because she's one of those out there saying, oh, impeach the president, impeach the president. And everyone says, go on, Congresswoman Auntie Maxine, go on and do your work. And she'll turn around and she'll say, don't tell me go on, I'm not doing this on my own. Like, you know, you gotta be there right with me, right? And so it's important because as I look at statistics around, from the UN around, you know, all these problems that we have, and I do want to share some of them, and then I'll wrap up with closing. I mean, we're still, you know, we celebrated the first Black president who got elected and reelected. You know, that was great, and those symbols mean something. You know, one of the first acts he passed was the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which was, you know, supposed to help women have equal chance to really fight discrimination, but to not even be discriminated against in the first place. And so as we celebrate, you know, women are still getting paid, right? You know, 7 cents on the dollar, and Black women even less than that compared to their white male counterparts. And so it's important to understand the magnitude of women that are and girls that are affected by these issues. And so if you look at statistics for around the world to this day, it is estimated that 35% of women worldwide have experienced either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or sexual violence. It is estimated that of 87,000 women who were intentionally killed in 2017 globally, more than half were killed by intimate partners or family members, meaning that 137 women across the world are killed by a member of their own family every day. At least 200 million women and girls alive today have undergone female genital mutilation in 30 countries with representative data on prevalence. In most of these countries, the majority of girls were cut before age 5. Approximately 15 million adolescent girls worldwide have experienced forced sex at some point in their life. Out of these, 9 million adolescent girls were victimized within the past year. 82% of women parliamentarians who participated in a study conducted by the Inter-Parliamentary Union in 39 countries across 5 regions reported having experienced some form of psychological violence during their term. They cited social media as the main channel through which psychological violence is perpetrated, and nearly half of those surveyed reported having received death, rape, assault, or abduction threats towards them or their families. And this is against women parliamentarians, right? So we can celebrate a country like Rwanda, for instance, that is at the helm for sure with the majority of women MPs in office, and that is certainly a success. But as we empower women, we cannot forget the fact that there are forces at every level. It doesn't matter how many degrees are out or how many positions you hold. There are, we live in a patriarchal world that we're trying to chip away at till we, equality also is not just empowering, it's also means safety, security, right, for our women and girls. And so, with that, I think we should constantly keep in mind the important work of CREW, but of all of you in this room in your various capacities, whether you work for an organization like CREW or in the classrooms you're in, or whatever opportunity you have to mentor or be, or be in a position to empower someone to speak truth to power. And that also means that, silence is consent, right? And so if you are in a position where you're witnessing at any level someone in need, particularly a woman, it's time, to stand up, because we're celebrating, but we're also in the business of ensuring that we empower. And again, we have many examples to turn to. And on that note, I actually want to close with my same favorite poet, and I would be remiss in not mentioning, by the way, that every year is the Year of the Woman. I'm particularly honored to be chair of SEED this year. I grew up in that organization, Society of Ethiopians established in the Diaspora. We're so excited this year to celebrate and honor 9 fantastic women on May 26th in Maryland. So I'm putting in a plug because it is an opportunity for all of us to understand the trailblazers that have lifted their communities up in different spaces. So Justice Maza Shannafi will be with us, Dr. Sanayat Dr. Sanayat Fisaha, Captain Amsala Gwalu, the first Ethiopian female captain pilot, Julie Meretu, the world-renowned artist, Dr. Yalam Zahai Makonnen, the first Ethiopian woman full professor and gold medalist from Addis Ababa University, Helen Mesfin, who is a friend and of all of us here in the DMV, Lidet Muleta, who's a registered nurse and MPH and has been such a strong advocate for mental health. And many of you know the laureate Tietna Bersh-Naguse will also be with us, a strong advocate on disability rights. And of course, there are Tutulu, the first female Black African Olympic gold medalist. So all of them will be with us on May 26th. You should come check it out and bring your young people, because the organization is for young people. And so these efforts are big and small. All of them put us in a place of empowerment to learn from those who have come before. And so in closing, I'd like to again recite this, another poem. Maybe you've heard of this. Nikki Giovanni is amazing, and Ego Tripping is another one of her really great poems. I was born in the Congo. I walked to the Fertile Crescent and built the Sphinx. I designed a pyramid so tough that a star that only glows every 100 years falls into the center, giving divine perfect light. I am bad. I sat on the throne, drinking nectar with Allah. I got hot and sent an ice ego to Europe to cool my thirst. My oldest daughter is Nefertiti. The tears from my birth pains created the Nile. I am a beautiful woman. I gazed on the forest and burned out the Sahara Desert with a packet of goat's meat and a change of clothes. I crossed it in 2 hours. I am a gazelle, so swift you can't catch me. For a birthday present when he was 3, I gave my son Hannibal an elephant. He gave me Rome for Mother's Day. My strength flows ever on. My son Noah built Newark, and I stood proudly at the helm. As we sailed on a soft summer day, I turned myself into myself and was Jesus. Men intone my loving name, all praises, I am the one who would save. I sow diamonds in my backyard, my bowels deliver uranium. The filings from my fingernails are semi-precious jewels. On a trip north, I caught a cold and blew, my nose giving oil to the Arab world. I am so hip, even my errors are correct. I sailed west to reach east and had to round off the earth as I went. The hair from my head thinned and gold was laid across 3 continents. I am so perfect, so divine, so ethereal, so surreal. I cannot be comprehended except by my permission. I mean, I can fly like a bird in the sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manna. And now I'll introduce the second speaker. Our next speaker is Bethlehem Groneberg. He's a seasoned software engineer, an inspirational speaker, and an author, and a social entrepreneur with a vision to exponentially expand the inclusion of diverse voices in the technology workforce by providing opportunity and exposure to technical skills, entrepreneurial mindset, and practical confidence-building experience for teen girls. Bethlehem strives to be a global agent of change that fosters young women's affinity to the world of computational design thinking. Referred to as the unlikely STEMinist by the Huffington Post article, Groneberg is the founder and chief executive officer of UCode Girl, a nonprofit designed to inspire, engage, and equip teen girls so that they can confidently choose to forge a pathway to technology, careers, and engineer their world. After 20+ years in the software industry as software engineer, senior software engineer, software engineering manager, and a master's degree in software engineering from North Dakota State University, Bethlehem has shifted her career focus to be an advocate for women in technology. Ms. Groneberg is the recipient of the prestigious 2016 Bush Foundation Leadership Fellow. As a Bush Fellow, she is challenged to think big and think different. Bethlehem is committed to bringing the real-world experience of software development to classroom as an adjunct instructor of computer science at Concordia College. Bethlehem currently serves on the executive board of the Prairie Public Broadcasting System, which is an affiliate of PBS, and as the advisory council of the Innovative Education Task Force of North Dakota, the Advisory Council for Minister of Science and Higher Education in Ethiopia. In the past, she has served on various councils and boards, including Fargo Chapter of International Women in Technology. Bethlehem was recently named 2018 YWCA Woman of the Year in Science and Technology. Bethlehem's topic today deals with the ripple effect when women ascend to power. Without any further ado, here is Bethlehem Groneberg.
በጣም አመሰግናለሁ ወይዘሮ ቅድስት። ዛሬ እዚህ በማዕከላችሁ በመገኘቴ በጣም ደስ ይለኛል። It's like my coming out. Since we're celebrating Women's History Month, allow me to start off with gratitude, honoring my mother, Asamanich, also known as Amaye. She is my hero. I did write a little poem of sorts for my mother. I am not a writer, it's not my profession. Would you like to hear it? Yes. It's called Woven with Love. I took my first breath into this world in a city surrounded by cascading mountain ranges in Ethiopia. I spent the formative years of my life rooted in faith, wrapped with kindness, and woven with love. My vivid memories of growing up in Ethiopia never seems to diminish its intensity with time. It is my lighthouse, my gravitational vortex that pulls me and guides me back to the precise coordinates of my birth, to the shadows of my past, and the framework of my being, marked by the intersection of faith and hope, to the amazingly grateful people and grateful voices, and hauntingly soulful eyes, to the feelings of Enen, Aizosh, Aizoch, Aizon. The essence of Ethiopia is in me, so I write. I carry in my heart the wisdom of my mother, and the humbleness and unassuming nature of my father. My memories will always lead me to my childhood, to the gentle touch of my mother, who I endearingly call Emma, Emmaye, Mamaye, to which she responds with love, Lije Medhanite Oye. Mamaye, she is my pride and my joy and my happy place, the wide open arms I wish to run to and be warmly embraced. Emma, she is my reflections of God's pure love and faith that remains the continued fountain of my strength. Amaye, she is my confidant and my fortress, the backbone that supports me in time of stress. Richly blessed is how I feel to be her next of kin, because she showed me how to find my words and shine from within. So I say, Salam lanchi yihun. May peace be with you, my Ethiopian mother. Here is to your quiet strength, your calm presence, and unyielding spirit. I pay my highest respect. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make it somber. This wise woman once also told me that we never start out with nothing. We have our hearts and our head. And Nelson Mandela affirms that notion that a good head and a good heart is a formidable combination. Speaking of formidable combination, I never met her, but I'm in awe of her work. A woman's rights advocate, a lawyer, and a judge. On her way to becoming the head of the Supreme Court of the land, she created a supportive space for other young lawyers. And she helped create a bank to cultivate economic opportunities for others. While presiding over a case that's closer to her heart, an award-winning movie that became an award-winning movie, she is, for me, an ultimate role model. Her trailblazing and pioneering spirit will chart a pathway for other young, aspiring lawyers. And this is the ripple effect. The World Economic Forum reports tells us that achieving gender parity is a long and winding road, a little over a century on average. And that we are all in this together because no country has closed the gender gap. And it will take a long time. It will take all of us to get there. Even if we are celebrating female leaders who are steering multinational companies, are ministers and heads of state, we still live in a world that overlooks half of its available talent. I particularly like the phrase, half of its available talent. So it's macro critical economic question. How are we, each and every one of us, collectively as a society, be the catalyst to advance and speed up the process of more than a century years, more than a century. Astonishingly, some of the barriers holding women back to leadership positions are universal. Cultural norms, lack of role models, and gender stereotypes, and self-actualization. Studies reveal to us that young women in this country diverge from STEM-centered activities as they react to peer pressure, lack of role models, and self-actualization. By the time they get to college, a whopping 58% count themselves out from a rewarding and high-paying job, technology. So at UCode Girl, we want to help reverse that funnel. And the same study observes that there is a significant change, an increase in the likelihood of girls, young women participating in technology careers. If we do these 4 things. One is encouragement from parents and educators, the presence of socially relatable and accessible role models in the field, exposure to the real world, examples of computer science, work saving humanity, and the actual hands-on experience through the participation of problem-based, project-based work. We have increasingly become dependent on things that work with code. Software has forever changed the way we live, we work, and we interact with each other. I have a personal assistant. Her name is Amy Ingram, and her initial spells AI. You guessed it. Amy is neither a person nor a robot. She is mere cloud-based computer algorithm that embeds itself in the system and schedules my days. The software is here to stay. Amy is smart and efficient, well, sometimes, but she renders the phrase, "We have an app for that, so 2000 and late." Supercomputers are here to stay. As the smart things we love get a little less artificial, and dare I say, a little more intelligent, we at UCode Girl ask, how do we help ensure the pathways to architecting these systems, the pathways to future economic opportunities are accessible to all? Because in the future, what separates the knowledge haves and the knowledge have-nots is not talent or potential, but access to opportunities. My friend Hamza puts this so eloquently. A rising tide does not lift all boats. It takes intentional, inclusive, and meaningful strategy, action, and collaboration to include everybody in this work. So we dare ask and be audacious. Why not 50% participation in the tech space? Why don't they, women and men, help collectively to shape our digital footprints? Especially when we know that job prospects are high and companies are desperate for a diverse perspective. At You Code Girl, we tell the young women we serve to use their heads and their hearts to engineer their world. We tell them to come as they are because we believe they already have the natural curiosity, creativity, focus, and intellect to succeed in STEM fields. And they do come to us curious, cautiously curious, from diverse socio-economic backgrounds. And we give them access to technical skills, role models, community of peers, and the right kind of support for self-actualization. Girls get opportunity to try hard things, opportunity to make mistakes, opportunity to learn. Computer science solves real-world, complex real-world problems by breaking it down into smaller pieces so that they can figure out the solution to the problem and bridge the gap between them and their potentials. I can relate to these experiences because I once was that young woman who was given that rare opportunity to be part of the first ever computer science program at Addis Ababa University, one of the 2 female students in the entire cohort. It's particularly special because I had never touched a computer before that day, let alone program one. I was curious, but I was insecure. It was a rough start. I struggled initially with an IBM machine, a DOS-based terminal attached to a processor that predates the AS400 series. We used BASIC, Fortran, and Pascal. I'm dating myself. I might have crashed the system more than once, I'm not saying. But that was my entry point to the world of coding, and I never looked back. So I see enormous potential with every girl I meet. At You Code Girl, our vision is to help see and create a world where the people who create and build software mirror the people and the societies for which they build. Giving them early exposure to role models so they can be the driving force behind the innovation we all consume. So they are not the mere consumers of it, but the drivers. It has been said before, little girls with dreams become women with vision. I believe I am the collective return on investment of my parents, myself, my professors, my community, and my country, which gave me a free education all the way to college. When I was a little girl, my father was my hero. Watching him read with Dase Mariam every morning used to make me count the days till I read that chapter book. My big, audacious dream at that time was to get my Ivy League education from Yeneta, the neighborhood priest school. I could hardly wait till I came of age and was accepted. Abugida Fido was my first window to the written world. I was able to read and write well before I started school. You see, I'm intensely passionate about learning. I want to help a young woman, even one young woman, be empowered and have audacious dream. It's about reaching back and helping that little girl that was me. When girls do better, we all do better. There is a report from UNAC 2012 that says women who have a higher spending power or women who have an earned power, period, spend 90% of their earned income on their families, while men spend only 30 to 40%. When 10% more girls go to school, a country's GDP increases by an average of 3%, USAID 2011. Growing evidence shows that corporations led by women are more focused on sustainability. US Berkeley has School of Business, 2012. Harvard Business Review said, if you want a productive team and a diverse thought process, hire women. So, join us to think creatively as a community and ask, how can we use technology as a tool to drive greater shared prosperity in the digital economy? It is up to us. It takes all of us. We need all of you to help create a world where girls see unlimited potentials and possibilities. Maya Angelou had once said, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. It's time for Ethiopia. I'm very excited. We're going to Ethiopia this summer in August. We are going to train 100 female high school students in Addis Ababa School District. So I'd love to invite you, if you have any talent in technology, reach out to me and you can join us in our voyage. If you have the means to financially support us and sponsor the camp, we would love to have you as well. So if you know somebody, it doesn't take a whole lot to help. We are taking drones and laptops to help. So if you have any one of those, or if you have something that you want to sponsor one young girl, we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bethlehem. Our keynote speaker tonight, or today, or this afternoon is Dr. Remy Dolly. Dr. Remy Dolly has over 35 years of combined experience and accomplishment as an international executive leader and project manager with a proven record of innovation, effective communication, and ability to enhance team performance and delivery results. She managed over 600 financial portfolios for high net worth companies in the financial institution in tune of millions of dollars. Her 17 years career span in corporate America banking range from retail, commercial, private, and mortgage banking, where she rose from a teller to the vice president in the 90s. She's a serial entrepreneur, doing it big globally with her sound experience and exposure. Certified John Maxwell coach, speaker and trainer, a Les Brown Platinum speaker, Remy is the president of Image Consulting Group, board chair of the African Union Pan-African Diaspora Women Association, USA, member of the National Coalition of the 100 Black Women, and chair of the the NFB Economic and Financial Group, to mention a few. Dr. Duyale, an eloquent international keynote speaker, is internationally active in the diaspora and abroad, impacting the next generation and being a business bridge to global investors. She's an astute legislative advocate and trusted community leader, an example of how faith, hard work, and perseverance can lead to a numerous exposure and growth, fondly supported by her loving husband for over 28 years and adorable, grown, responsible young adults. Her topic today is Empowered Women, Empowering Visionary Women. And without further ado, here's Dr. Duyale.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm going to ask all the women to please stand up. All the women. Men, sorry. Just sit down, relax. Go ahead and say after me. I am a woman. The mother of presidents. The mother of congressmen. The mother of congresswomen. The mother of scientists. The peacemaker. The waymaker. The changer. The beautiful. The confident. The elegant. That's who we are. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a round of applause. Wow. Wow. How do you come behind this great women that have come before me to speak? How do you top that? How do you sit in an audience with beautiful women, not just beautiful on the outside, inside? Because what's on the inside is what they brought out. I was sitting there loving every minute of it. This is one moment that I'm extremely proud to be a woman. This is a great time to be a woman. When you have great women doing it big, when you have great women doing it big, we know our future is secured. Thank you so very much thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. I'm going to get to my notes. I just had to bring that energy back for a minute because I'm too excited to just go straight into my notes. Indemnitu. I salute all of you, my brothers and sisters, especially my brothers and sisters who are Ethiopians. I was honored and privileged to visit about 3 weeks ago. And if I had to pick another place to go, it clearly will be Ethiopia. I want to congratulate the crew leadership, the team, congratulate what you are doing, and to say we appreciate what you're doing, because every one of us need to come to the table to sow a seed. And you are sowing a seed that's already germinating, that's making a difference. So I salute you, and I say congratulations to my friend who have made this possible for me. Commissioner, I say thank you to you. Commissioner Kedis, you are a great woman. We meet out there in the maze, in the diaspora, doing what we love to do, empowering people, learning, sharing, caring, teaching. That's what we've been all about. Whose shoulder are you leaning on? Who is leaning on your shoulder? Think about it. How broad is your shoulder that you can make other people lean on it? Or is it just your shoulder for you, yourself, and I? Hopefully not. We need to make our shoulders as wide as possible, as deep as possible, to know that if things are meant to change in this world, especially in our Africa, it's going to have to be up to each and every one of us in this room. And because we are women, and we are powerful women who truly know the power of parenting, the power of love, the power of the village concept. It takes a village to raise a kid. I remember once upon a time, as a young girl, I backtrack a little. My mother, who of course is the reason why I'm here today, taught me two great things. Having that persevering spirit and patience were things I never understood when I was growing up in Nigeria. She would get along with every and all bodies, whether they hate or nice. And as I got older, I would wonder, why are you always nice to everybody? And she would look at me and say, I know what I'm doing. And I'll look at her like, I don't think you know what you're doing. You know, I can't dare say that. But I'm thinking in my mind, I don't think you really know what you're doing. Those people are not treating you so well. But you're still all that and all out. But as I grew older, I understood. And I thank her every single day for allowing me to understand why she was doing what she was doing. She said one thing. She said, when I sow seeds, it will come back to me. When I sow seeds, it will come back to me. She said, but my seeds are designed for greatness. So I cannot sow seeds that will come back to me and bring me harm. So I have to make sure that I do good by my own little way to ensure that other people will see the good in me and hopefully turn a new leaf. And if for nothing, that the Lord will bless her children. So as I journeyed here from Nigeria at age 17, the night before I cried my eyes out because I've never left her. I've always been at home. Thought I would come, go to school 4 years, go back, or 6 years, get my master's and go back. I cried and cried and cried. She said one thing to me. She said, favor would await you in America. She said, because all those questions of you asking me, why am I this to this? Somebody there will await to receive you and guide you. Because I only had my brother here, who also is like me. I had to leave on people's shoulders. So I know the importance of having a broad shoulder, the importance of ensuring that you continually do your best all the time, not when you feel like it. Because when you don't even feel like it, people are watching you, and people are looking at you. They are inspired by what you are doing, where you are at this moment. So we're saying empowered people, women, empowering visionary women. That's who we are. Every single woman in this room is a visionary. Whether you want to agree or not, we are. There's something special about womanhood. You give back to a child, you know right away you have a vision because you want them to be the best. You don't need to go to a school of visionary to say that I am a visionary woman. You have a sister, you want good for them. You've done it once, you want them to do it. So I claim, and I don't care what the story is, but my story is that all women are visionary. And the only reason that some of us might think we are not, like my mentor, Les Brown would say, is maybe they just have not found that ability to have somebody mentor them, to bring that greatness out of them. Maybe they just are not quite ready for whatever reason, but guess what? That visionary is inside of us. And the little girl who now is a grown woman standing before you was never a speaker. I hated public speaking. Oh my God, do I hate public speaking. Growing up in corporate America, I know you're laughing like, what? Corporate America taught me that if I was going to grow and overcome my 4 strikes, black, female, Nigerian, accent, my voice, I know, right? It's funny. And those are my value proposition to the world. And I didn't have a problem, but the war had problems. But their problem didn't stop my growth, because I knew I being a vice president, so I couldn't fool around with distractors. All I had to focus on, how can I be the best version of me so that I can become that empowered woman who can be an empowerment to other women and be a role model to other women, not just my 3 kids, no, but to every single one that I will come in contact with. And that's what I did, being able to bring that greatness out. And all of us in this room, we have that greatness. You've seen the display of greatness here, haven't we? Didn't we all see the display of greatness in every single one that have spoken? That's what we have as women. And I'm sure if we request that each and every one of us come out here and do something, you've got what it takes. You just have to release yourself, have that willingness to want to take it a step further. Find out what are your deficiencies. Like I had to find out mine. Mine was speaking. I did not like to speak. But I did the best sales, the best service, but you put me in a room to explain what I just did. I was just so frantic. And guess what? Those who did not do anything, who could not top what I did, they were telling my story. What is up with that? You couldn't deliver? Now you are narrating my story? So I knew I had a problem. And I knew the problem was to see, how do I find my voice? How do I go learn whatever I would take for me to at least be able to express myself? Because I know my story is not just about me, no. It's about us as Africans, as black people, being able to stay our course, stand our ground, get our genius out and be able to show it up and show it off as needed wherever we are called to do. Because nobody has 2 heads. Everybody has 1 head, 2 eyes. Nobody is different. The color is nothing. But being able to find my voice helped me to empower other people. So I played tribute to my mother. Another one person that we all know, Mama Rosa Parks. She displayed determination. That holy day, she decided, guess what? I'm not getting up from this bus. I'm sitting, and you are not going to get me to get up. That was a determination, and that's what we have as women. When you are sick and tired of being sick and tired, you are just going to say, you know what? I've had it. And immediately people back out. They're just waiting for you and I to voice that, no, it's enough. It's enough. So then they can move. But guess what? She refused. And today, she's part of history. She is part of a great history that have led the civil rights movement. So that's what we have in us as women. There are days that you're thinking of things that you want to do. You have distractions, distractors. There's that spirit in you that says, oh, Remy, no, you can't do it. Yo, you can't do that. It's not this, it's not that. All the negative thoughts are coming, but the positive outweighs the negatives. Nobody is looking for perfection. I don't know of a perfect person ever since I've been living on this face of the earth. No one is perfect, but we all have room to be better and better and better and better. Once we identify what do we need, what do you need, my sisters, that's stopping you to not go forth and forward to be that best of you. Whatever that is, you can find it. I found mine. I never knew. If my mother was alive, she would never believe that I could speak, because I was so spot rotten, so I didn't have to fight for anything. I was given everything. So I didn't really need to speak. I thought, oh, well, what do I need that for? So I was a shy person. But if she were alive today, she would be like, well, is this my daughter? But guess what? Faith led me to where I am. And I knew in corporate America, my goal was not just to be a mediocre. And I was doing the yeoman's job, making sure that I made my sales, my service, represented the bank, do whatever I needed to do, what was in retail, everything. So now, how dare I not be able to tell my story to other people who are going places to not feel like, oh, we don't know how she got there. But guess what? Having my voice worked. What is it that you and I need to work on? What is that one thing Honestly speaking, what is that one thing that you know is holding you bound? Don't tell me money, because money is just an instrument. And that can be a hold up, please. So don't even think money. I'm thinking of what you can control. What you can control. If you can think of it, if you can write it, write it. If you can text it, remember it. Please, whatever that is, you can find a solution to it. You really can. Because people are waiting to lean on your shoulders. What we have that we think it's not enough, it's an envy of everybody else. People want to be like us when they grow up, and you're like, where is the us? Who is the person? But guess what? Where we are now is a plus. People want to be there. So if you and I stay put and we don't go out there and say, how can I be a better version of me? How can I serve? How can I be in networks like this and meet people that maybe ordinarily I wouldn't meet? Guess what? We would never be able to live full. And when we don't live full, we are denying other people. You know I'm focusing on other people. Let's even think you think that, oh, I have enough. But other people need us. And those us are in this room. So if we fail them, God forbid, I want to die empty. That's what I tell people. I want to live this life and die empty. Whenever the Lord says it's over, let me know that I'm empty. But I say, I'm so full now that I know I'm not going anywhere yet by the grace of God. And I know that all of you are full like me or greater. Let us walk together. Let us find ways that we can collaborate, that we can cooperate, that we can walk together as women. Come together talking about things that are important to us. Not just the talk shop and who is the best and all of that. What are you good at? What am I good at? How can we compare notes? How can our stories that we're sharing in this room, how can it inspire a young lady or a young man? We love you, man. You all too are part of this. So if there's a man in the room who feels like speaking is their problem or whatever it is, we work on it to ensure that we come together and begin to go one step at a time, one nation at a time, or collaboratively to see how can we pay it forward. We are diasporans. The Indian diasporans, they figured it out. They've gotten it. We African diasporans, we're working at it. The Indian diasporans have made a huge difference on their own side of the world. We African diasporans, we are rising. It's okay to rise. Let's keep rising and working together so that our brothers and sisters on the continent, they would know they have a resource here, meaning in us as diasporans. We are all well connected. We have access to the big Congress, businesses, you name it. Where don't we have access to as Africans? What we just don't have is the ability to collect and celebrate one another. Thank God SEED is celebrating people. There's so many organizations that need to be celebrating people. Because if we don't know our own story, if our younger ones don't hear our stories, they're never going to be able to fathom it. They will think, oh, maybe it's just a one-off thing. But when someone like me comes and says, I have 4 stripes, black, female, Nigerian accent, what can I change in all the 4? I can't. If I could, I wouldn't. But that's my own value proposition. But I have to now live through that to ensure that nobody distracts my progress in corporate America. And same with you. Some of us are entrepreneurs. Some of us are still in corporate America. Some of us are retired. We're engaging in the community. There are limitations that people try to put on us because of their ignorance. They come with you with some shenanigans that you have no business with. Stay out of it. Stay focused. Stay fixed and keep doing you. When you are doing you and providing solutions to what are needed out there, there's no shortage of money. The money will come, but don't chase the money. The money will chase you. Find solutions to problems. Africa is wide. 55 African nations is what we have. By the time we pick each one through networking that we're going to build here, now even though I'm a Nigerian born, I'm Ethiopian too. because I have friends in Ethiopia. Thank you. I have friends in Ghana. So to me, I'm all African. I'm all African, so there's no limitation. The only limitation that I would envision is the one I put on myself. But if we dare, as women especially, to come together, because when we come together, we build. We don't just talk. We do not just talk. We're not into talk show. We are into solutions. Remember, we are the mothers of the presidents, the mothers of the scientists. These people don't just show up like that. We've got to do our homework. We've got to sit on them to do their homework, take them to the basketball, the ballet, and all that stuff that we do as mothers. At the same time, manage our professional career. That's what I was doing. We were raising 3 kids, and we were in ballet, basketball, football, you name it. We were going like a crazy. I was like, how did we even do this? But thankfully, the outcome of it works. It works because we had a community. We had other parents who we could work with. That's the village concept that we're used to as Africans, as black people, not even just Africans. We're used to that communal engagement, that communal thing that we can say, if it's good for you, it's good for me, or it will be good for me. And me celebrating you, you celebrating me. When we go back to the old school of ensuring that your success can never stop mine, because my gift is in me. Your gift is in you. When we bring it together, the matching of those is untouchable. Oprah Winfrey once said that Maya Angelou asked her when she built that school in South Africa, and she was so excited, and she went, oh, Maya, I think the school that I'm paraphrasing, I wasn't there, you all, that the schools that I build will be my legacy. And she went, no, you don't know what your legacy will be. Your legacy will be every life that you touch, every day. I'm like, whoa. So I got that right away. It's been so many years that I learned that. Like, wait a minute. So I'm meeting you today for the first time. You're meeting me for the first time. The word you hear from all of us today might be that word that'll break you loose and help you to keep plugging and say, oh, if she can get over this speaking crazy, I'm going to go find out how to get over that crazy speaking problem so I can kick some asses, excuse my French, with my company to ensure that I go up to that corporate ladder where I belong. So that's what happened with Oprah. It's like, no, your school that you build, that's something you can touch. That's not going to be the legacy. Every single life. That's even bigger, right? Every life that you touch, who turns out to touch another life? Oh my God, you are building like the wall. The whole wall will be your legacy. I'm like, wow, that's powerful. But it can be done. Do you all agree with me, sisters and brothers? It can be done. We can do it. We can do it if we truly put our minds to it. And we don't have to have all the answers. We just have to have a little bit of the answer. Do it afraid, like one of my mentors would say. Do it afraid. I am heavily invested in mentorship. I have leaders who are investing to mentor me, the Les Browns of this world, John Maxwell. I don't just do that because I don't think that I have enough information in my head. But again, you always need people who have been in the space, people who have done it, who are doing it, who you can tell your story to, who can shape you. Because it's not about your relation, it's not about your proficiency currency. Relationship currency is very powerful. Relationship currency is what we're enjoying this evening. When I got invited, I didn't know everybody in this room. I got an invitation through relationship. Now the relationship has allowed me to meet all of you informally and formally, and you never know how we're going to take it. So relationship currency is very critical. And for those of us who have young people in our lives, whether it be our children, nieces, and all of that, let us teach them the power of developing relationship currency. I know a lot of things is microwavable. Okay, you text, you tweet. Sometimes you need to feel that warm, fuzzy, hello, I'm Remy Dolly, and do that handshake. You need that sometimes. That helps you to close the deals better. Of course, you can do your text, your whatever you all do, Snapchat and everything. Cool, yeah, we are learning, we're coming with it gradually. I'm still learning in school of learning with that. But there are things that you need to do. Walk in this room, making sure you meet somebody you never met before, and following up with them. We are your aunties, we are your sisters, we are your friends, brothers. See somebody in this room that you might take on your journey to help you with your greatness, because we are all destined for greatness. I know that. I don't need to ask. We are all destined for greatness. It takes work, but it takes collective work. And when we do the work collectively, we can make our Africa super great again. I hate to say that again, but we will change the trajectory of our Africa as desired. And I don't know how I'm doing with time, but I hope I get a little signal somehow. We said it earlier by the previous speakers. A lot of you ladies, I figured, did we compare notes? The spirit is one. The spirit is so unanimous that I was listening to them like, okay, now, how do I not go out there and repeat everything they've said when you shared some examples? You know, recognizing the president of Ethiopia, the female presidents, and the few that we have. This is not accidental time to be a woman. This is a time that all of us have to cash into it. And I say cash into it because you have your sisters and your aunties, your friends who are doing it big. All you have to do is just ask. All you have to do is just ask. If you ask and they say no, and I'm yet to find one person who have requested to help me that have said no. If they say no, it's with a reason. It wouldn't be like a no, get out of my face. No. Nobody would stop you. If they can help you, they will help you. So we need to get off the fear within us and step out there and say, you know what? We are in this village together, sisters. This is my need. This is what I bring to the table. And whatever you bring to the table will complement somebody. And if we all have an open, transparent agenda, you know what I need, I know what you need, there's nothing wrong with that. When you know all of that, then we work together to collaborate and make it a nice engagement that will not just change our family, it will change the history of our continent, Africa. As I close, 1885, there was the Berlin Conference. That was the first time the colonial masters came, and they came to divide us. Because they saw what you and I didn't see. We weren't born then. They saw what we didn't see in Africa. They knew we had everything. What don't we have? When people say, what do you have in Africa? I said, just start by asking me, what don't we have? Then maybe that will make my conversation shorter. They came and they divided us, had us chopped into so many little bits because they saw the power that we bring to the table. They saw the Africa that was already established. Ethiopia was never defeated. Nobody could touch Ethiopia. The Ethiopians stood their grounds. So up till today, nobody came and had a chance to mess up your psyche like they messed all of us up. But guess what? Enough is enough. We are coming together as Africans. We are going to take our rightful places, and we are going to leverage our diasporans to ensure that whatever we need in Africa, there's nothing we need in Africa. If anybody thinks I'm saying anything that's not true, please raise your hand. There's absolutely nothing in Africa that we need that we don't have resources or some expertise to. Nothing. You and I might not know the person, and thank God for Google. Just Google it. You Google it, you'll find out there's nothing, nowhere in this world that you won't have Africans doing it big. Because that's how we are created. That's the genes in us. It's not a pride thing. It's in us. It's inbuilt. We just have to birth it and help other people birth it. And when we birth it, the world will be a better place because the world needs us. We've got everything. Everybody's trying to come to us because they know we have everything. Everything that they need, we have. How come they don't have everything they need so that we can be left alone? God knows why he does what he does. And we're okay, we'll share. We have no problem sharing. But what we would not do is have us take the backseat again. Why other people lead us to our Africa. No more of that. So if you're in this room and you've never heard of the African Union or the Pan-African Diaspora Women Association, you need to hear about it. And there's so many other organizations, so forgive me, I don't know all of the organizations represented, but I know a functioning one that you can align with. This is an association that allows you to meet other professional women who are doing it big in their own space. And now together we come and we say, okay, what can we do collectively within East Africa? West Africa, not just Nigeria, Ethiopia. We're now going big because we've got it all. We've got all our sisters, our super, super duper sisters who have the power to make things happen and who have the right contacts with the legislative arm of this great nation in all phases to say, you know what, let's do this. So if you're in this room, let us know about you. And of course, there's the Africa, out of Padua, came the Pan-African Diaspora Women Association. It's another way for us to continue to bond. Some places won't work for you, some would work for you, but what I'm saying is stay plugged in. Find out associations that are out there. Find out resources that are out there. Ask questions. Don't be afraid that somebody will say no. If they say no and they think they embarrass you, they embarrass themselves. Because when they stop answering you, you're going to get your answer anyways. They just won't be in the equation for you to say thank you to. And they will see you rising and shining, doing your thing, and they'll be so like embarrassed of themselves, like, ooh, maybe I should have done a little help lifting up to have this person write me in her history book. Because every day of our life, we're living history right now. It's a history. It's history. Everywhere you go, it's history. As we carry ourselves and our legacy, let us understand that we are all one and the same. Color, ethnicity, none of those things should be a deterrent. But one single thing is that we should know that there's greatness in us. And we can birth this greatness when we release our minds to the fullness of our creation. When we release our mind and work, W-O-R-K, not W-L-K. There's work that comes with all the things I'm saying. You might have to call some people sometimes before they respond, but don't give up. If you need them, go after them. And as you do this, let's go out, women of distinction, let's go out and make great things happen for our continent. I want to say thank you to the organizers of this. I know I went over, I do apologize. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
እስካሁን ድረስ በእንግሊዘኛ ነበር የምንናገረው ይሄ ፕሮግራም ግን ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ በመተላለፍ ላይ ስላለ ትንሽ ቃላቶች በአማርኛ መናገር ፈልጋለሁ ላይቭ ስትሪም እያደረገ ስለሆነ በኢትዮጵያ ያላችሁ ወገኖቻችን እንዲሁም በሌላ ዓለም ላይ የምትገኙ ወገኖቻችን ይህ ዛሬ እየተካሄደ ያለው የኢትዮጵያ የሴቶች መብት ማዕከል የሴቶች ወር ምክንያት በማድረግ በአመቱ የምናካሂደው ሴቶች ማዕከል አመታዊ ጉባኤ ነው ይህ ፕሮግራም በኢትዮጵያ ስለሚተላለፍ በዚህ ምሽት ወይም ደግሞ በዚህ ቀን እዚህ ቀን ነው እናንተ ጋር ምሽት ነው በዚህ ቀን ሴቶች ያቅም ግንባታ በማድረግ ሶስት ተናጋሪዎች ልምዳቸውንና ተመክሯቸውን አስተላልፈውልናል ብዙን ያደረግነው በዚህ ሀገር ያሉ ሌሎች ሰዎች በእንግሊዘኛ ቋንቋ ብቻ መስማት ስለሚችሉ ነው ነገር ግን ይሄ ይተረጎምና በሌላ መስክ ይቀርብላችኋል ስለአደመጣችሁን እናመሰግናለን ስለተከታተላችሁ ደግሞ በክሩስም ሆኜ ምስጋናዬን አቀርባለሁ ዜር ይስጥልን
The Dr. Maiganet Shafru Foundation crew, in collaboration with her family, puts out a call for people, the village, like people like you, to contribute to a scholarship to those who meet the established criteria. I would like to invite Dr. Getachew Metaferia to tell us about the foundation and to announce the recipient of this year's scholarship. Dr. Getachew.
እንደምን አመሻችሁ መሽቷል አይደል እንዲያው እዛ ሆኜ የተሰማኝን አንዴ ላካፍላችሁ ምክንያቱም ይሄ ክሩ የሚባል ኢትዮጵያና ኤርትራ ሲዋጉ ኢትዮጵያ ኤምባሲ እዚህ እና ኤርትራ ኤምባሲ ሰልፍ አድርገው ነበር እዚህም የተሰለፉ አሉ ኤርትራ ኤምባሲ ሄደው የተሰለፉትም ነበሩ እና እዚህ ከኤምባሲ ሰው ወጥቶ አምባሳደሩ መሰለኝ እንደ እናንተ ኢትዮጵያኖች ናችሁ ወይ እያሸነፍ እንዴት ትላላችሁ ምናምን ብሎ ሲላቸው አይ አሸናፊ የለም በጦርነት ውስጥ አሸናፊ የለም ወንድምና እህት ሲያልቅ ሁለታችንን ተሸንፈናል ብለው መለሱላቸው ኤርትራ ኤምባሲ ሄዱት ደግሞ ጦርነቱ እንዲቆም ወንድምና እህት መጋደል የለበትም ብለው ሲነግሯቸው እነሱ ደግሞ ተደናገጡ ከየት የመጣችሁ ናችሁ ዱብዳ ሆነባቸው የዚህ ትምህርት ምሳሌነት የሚሆነው ሴቶች ለእውነት ለሐቅ ለሰው ልጆች እኩልነት እንደሚታገሉ ያኔ አስተምረዋል ያ ትልቅ ነገር ነው ዶክተር ማይገነት የጻፈችው መጽሐፍ አለ እዚህ እየተሸጠ ነው $20 ነው ያ ገንዘቡ ለዚህ ለፈንዱ ነው ለፌሎሺፑ ነው የሚውለው እና ያንን ገዝታችሁ ይሄንን ፈንድም እንድትረዱ ነው እና እንዳጋጣሚ ሌላው እዚህ ዛሬ መሰብሰባችን ራሱ ትልቅ የታሪክ ምዕራፍ ነው ሁላችንም ለዛሬ 20 ስንት ዓመት እንዲያውም ከደርግ ጊዜ ጀምሮ ውጪ ወተን እዚህ መግባት አይፈቀድልንም ነበር ስንታገል ነበር ስለ እውነት አምና አምባሳደሩ አግቼ አንድ ቦታ ስብሰባ ነበረን እንደ ድሮኮ ቢሆን ኖሮ ድንጋይ ወረውርበት ነበር አልኩ አሁን ያ ተለውጦ ሰላም ሆኖ እንደዚህ መገኘታችን ትልቅ ነገር ነው ሁለቱም ናቸው አጡት ምን ማለት ነው ባለፈው ጊዜ ቴሌቪዥን ዩኒቨርሲቲ ሳስተምር ስብሰባ ነበረ የኤምባሲ ካንድ ኤምባሲ ከኢትዮጵያ ኤምባሲ አንድ ሴትዮ መጣ ነበር ወይ መጥተው ነበር እና እዛ ሲገኙ ነገርኳቸው እናንተም እኮ ኢትዮጵያ ኤምባሲ ውስጥ ያላችሁ እስር ቤት ነበራችሁ እንደዚህ ወጣችሁ ህዝቡን አታገኙም ነበር ኢማጂን በዚህ ከተማ ውስጥ የግጥም ምሽት ምን ሲል የኤምባሲ ሰዎች መጥተው ሲያዳምጡ ትምህርት ነው ያገኙበት ትልቅ ትምህርት ነው ያገኙበት የዚህ ሁሉ መንስኤው ፍቅር ሰላም ሲኖር ነው አሁን በኢትዮጵያ የተገኘው ፍቅርና ሰላም እንደዚህ አስተባብሮናል ሴቶቹም ደግሞ ለሰላም ብለው ታግለዋል ለብዙ አመት የኢትዮጵያና የኤርትራ ጦርነት ሲነሳ ሁለቱ ፕሬዝዳንቶች ጋር ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር መለስና ፕሬዝዳንት ኢሳያስ ጋር ደብዳቤ ጽፈው በሰውም አስልከው ኢትዮጵያ ሴቶችና ይህ ክሩ እና የኤርትራ ሴቶች ተገናኝተው ደም እልቂት በወንድምና በእህት መካከል መኖር የለበትም ብለው ለሁለቱ መሪዎች ደብዳቤ ጽፈው መተን እናነጋግራቸዋለን ብለው ያሉት ሁሉ ትዝ ይለኛል ያም በዚህ መጽሐፍ ውስጥ ተጽፏልና እሱን ብታዩ ደስ ይለኛል ለእንግሊዘኛ ለማይችሉ ትንሽ ለናገር ይቅርታ ይደረግልኝና I was just explaining about this Center for Ethiopian Rights crew during the agony time of war between Ethiopia and Eritrea. These sisters here opposed the war and demonstrated at the Ethiopian and Eritrean embassies, telling them that, appealing to them that this bloodshed is not beneficial for all people. It should be rather peace that the people need, and that's what they deserve. And the people from the embassy here said, are you really Ethiopians? We are winning the war. And this gentle lady said, there is no winner in a war between brothers and sisters. Luckily now, there have been peace forged between the two countries, but imagine 100 people perished for nothing because of short-sightedness of the leadership. This crew portrays the real sense of pride in Ethiopian women and pride in all women of the world, and that needs to be appreciated. I have to diverge a little bit and speak in Amharic now. ዘንድሮ የማይገነሽ ሽፈራው ፌሎሺፕ በየጊዜው በየዓመቱ ይደረጋል። ሁለት አይነት ስኮላርሺፕ ፌሎሺፕ ነው የሚሰጠው። አንደኛው በሴቶች በኢትዮጵያ ሴቶች ላይ ከዓለም በሞላ በኢትዮጵያ ሴቶች ላይ ለማስተርስ ዲግሪ ወይም ለፒኤችዲ የሚጽፉ ለነሱ መርጃ የሚሆን ፌሎሺፕ ይሰጣል። ሁለተኛው ደግሞ አገር ተኮር የሆነ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያሉ የሴቶች ማህበራት የሴቶችን ሁኔታ ለማሻሻል የሚታገሉትን እነሱን ለመደጎም የሚያደርጉት ገንዘብ ድጎማ የሚሰጥ ነው እና እስካሁን ድረስ ክብርት ሚኒስቴር የውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስቴር ከዛ የመጡት ይሄንን ሐሳብ ሊልኩልን ይችላሉ። ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያሉ ተማሪዎች በውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስቴርም ሆነ ስለ ሴቶች ቢጽፉ በማስተርስ ወይም በፒኤችዲ የገንዘብ ድጎማ ያገኛሉ። እስካሁን ድረስ የመጣ ሰው የለም። ያን እንድታበታቱልን እንፈልጋለን። ሁለተኛው ግን ኢትዮጵያ ሀገር በቀል የሆነ ሴቶችን የሚረዱ ያንን የሚሰሩ እነሱን ለማበረታታት ፌሎሺፕ ይሰጣል። ይህ ፌሎሺፕ እንግዲህ ቤተሰቡ እንደ እርሾ አድርጎ አስቀመጠው እንጂ ያ ገንዘብ ተዋቶ ለብዙ ሰዎች እንዲደረስ ያደረጋችሁ እናንተ ናችሁ። መጽሐፉን በመግዛት እዚህ ውስጥ ያላችሁ አንድ ሁለት መጽሐፍ አይደለም የወሰዳችሁ ሳጥኑን በሞላው ስጡን ብላችሁ ወስዳችሁ ሽጣችሁ ይሄን ፌሎሺፕ እንዲበራከት አደረጋችሁ። ምስጋና ለእናንተ ሁሉ ይድረስ። እንግዲህ ፌሎሺፑን የሚያነቡ 5 ሰዎች አሉ። 4 እዚህ አሉ። አንድ ጊዜ ባካችሁ እዚህ መጣችሁ ግንባራችሁን ያያችሁ ወይዘሮ ትዝታ ወይዘሮ ገነት እና ወይዘሮ ጸዳለ እና ዶክተር ይጥና ስብሰባ ካሊፎርኒያ ስለሄደ ሊገኝ አልቻለም። የመጡት ፕሮፖዛልስ እነሱ ናቸው። አንባቢዎች በጣም አድርጋቸው አመስግኑልኝ። ብዙ ፕሮፖዛሎች ይመጣሉ። በጣም አስጨናቂ ነው። ለማን ተሰጥቶ ለማን ይነሳል ከማለት እና ዘንድሮም ኢትዮጵያ ለሚያገለግሉ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ መስራት ያላቸው ብዙ ፕሮፖዛሎች መጥተዋል እና አሸናፊ መምረጡ ቀላልም አይደለም። በጣም ከባድ ነበር። ስሙን አልናገርም አንድ ድርጅት አሸንፏል ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ይህ የሴቶች በጅማ ዩኒቨርሲቲ የሚሰሩ ናቸው ወደ ኋላ ፕሬዝዳንቷ ትናገራለች ግን ጠቅላላ ያለ ስራቸውን ለመናገር vertical agriculture ነው የሚሉት እንደ መደብ ከተማ ውስጥ ይሰሩና እዛ መደብ ላይ አትክልት ይተክላሉ ጎመን ሰላጣ ቲማቲም ሽማግሌዎች ሁሉ ሄደው አጎንብሰው ሊያጠጡ ስለማይችሉ ቆመው ያጠጣሉ እነኚህ ሴቶች በጣም ታታሪ ናቸው ከተማዋን በብዙ ነገር ሊረዱ ይፈልጋሉ አንደኛ ግሪነሪ አረንጓዴ ለማድረግ ከተማዋን ኢዩስ ያን ጊዜ በህሊናቸው ጎመን አትክልት በየመንገዱ ዳር መደብ ላይ አልጋ ላይ ሽታውም አይኑ ላይንም በጣም ደስ የሚለው ያንን ነው ሴቶችን በማሳተፍ ነው የላኩትን ፕሮፖዛል ቀላል አይደለም የመኪና ነጂ ሾፌር አበል የያንዳንዱን አበል ሰዓቱን ተምነው በሚገባ አድርገው ጽፈው ዩኒቨርሲቲው እንደገና ሁለት ሴቶች መድቦ ዩኒቨርሲቲ አስተማሪዎች ናቸው ማስተርስ ያላቸው እነኚህ ሴቶች ናቸው ይሄንን ፕሮግራም የሚያቀናጁ ብለው ነገረው ለነሱ ሁሉ ገቢውን ወጪውን ተምነው በጀት አውጥተው በዛ ላይ ደግሞ ዩኒቨርሲቲው እኔም ተጠያቂ ነው ብሎ የድጋፍ ደብዳቤ በመጻፍ ትልቅ አስተዋጽኦ አድርጓል ዩኒቨርሲቲው እና በሁላችንም ስም ፕሬዝዳንቷ ክብር ፕሬዝዳንት መተው በስልክ ስላነጋገሯቸው ምን እንደተባሉ ሚንገሩን እስቲ ያካፍሉን እንግዲህ ሐሳቡ
እሺ እንደተባለው የዘንድሮው አሸናፊ ከኢትዮጵያ በመሆናቸው የእውነት ሁላችንም በጣም ደስ ብሎናል የፕሮፌሰር ናት እንትኑን የምትመራው ሽታይ ትባላለች ደውዬ በነገርኳት ጊዜ ልክ ከስራ ወጥቼ ወደ ቤቴ እየሄድኩ ነበር ብላ ኤክሳይትመንቷን እኔ ስራ ላይ ሆኜ ስለሆነ የደወልኩላት በቃ ስትጮህና በጣም በቃ ኤክሳይትድ ከመሆኗ የተነሳ እንትን የምትለውን ስልኬን እንደዚህ መዝጋት ነበረብኝ that's how excited she was እና በቃ ይሄ የስንት ሴቶች ህይወት የሚቀይር ነው ለኛ 2000 ብር ብዙ አይደለም ለነሱ ግን ትልቅ እርዳታ መነሻ ይሆናናል እና በጣም እናመሰግናለን ከዚህ በኋላ ደግሞ የምንሰራውን ስራ በየጊዜው እንልክላችኋለን ፕሮግረሳችንን የት እንደደረስን ብለዋል ከዚህ ሌላ ቪዲዮ ልከውልን ነበር ይሄንኑ ሜሴጅ ለምንትን ለማለት ግን ያገኘነው ቪዲዮ አንደኛ ነገር ለመክፈት እንኳን በጣም አስቸጋሪ ሆነብን ሁለተኛ ደግሞ በጣም ኳሊቲው እንትን ስላልሆነ የናንተንም ጊዜ ላለመውሰድ ነው ያላሳየነው እንጂ የቱን ያህል ደስ እንዳላቸው ለመግለጽና የሚሰሯቸውን አንዳንድ ነገሮች ሁሉ በቪዲዮ አድርገው ልከውልናል እና በጅማ ዩኒቨርሲቲ ውስጥ ፕሮፌሰር ሆና የምትሰራ ሽታይ የምትባል ይሄንን ፕሮጀክት የምትረዳ በምን አይነት ገንዘቡን እንደምናስተላልፍላት ሁሉ ኢንፎርሜሽኑን ልካልናለች ሰው በኮመርሻል ባንክ በኩል $2000 እናስተላልፋለን እና በጣም ደስ ብሎናልኛ So just to those who did not understand what I just said the winner of this year's the MyGanet Foundation awardee are two professors from Jimma University who are working on the project that he described earlier and this amount of money although it might mean or look so small to us it's really like a big life changing for them and they're very excited and they hope to send us progress report throughout, and hopefully by next year at this forum, we'll bring what they have accomplished and share with everyone.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. So this kind of brings us to the end of our program. Before we go, I'd like to invite one gentleman that wants to say a few words about a function that they're going to have tomorrow. And I won't tell you about the function. I'll let him speak. Dagam.
Thank you. ጤና ይስጥልኝ ዳግማዊ አለማየሁ እባላለሁ። This was unrehearsed, but it's all from the heart. So, ባጭሩ, I took a few notes ቁጭ ብዬ. I'm standing here on behalf of Habesha Networks. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We actually started in 2017, November to be exact, and we hosted an event in 8 cities on one day at the same time. 7 cities at the same time. The 8th one was Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, which was wrapping up when we were waking up. Just to take a step back, we call it Habesha Networks because I've been to a lot of Ethiopian professional networking events, and I know there's tons of Eritrean networking events. However, as I began to grow in my career, I wound up having 2 business partners. One was Ethiopian, one was Eritrean. I found it a problem to take both of them with me and go on to to go to one of these networking organizations. To take a quick step back, our founder, Melat Bakala, who happens to be a very strong woman based in Los Angeles, California, kind of reached out to me. She kind of knew my involvement in our community here in DC, and we really felt passionate about bringing something more than professional networking. A lot of us, like myself, born and raised here, I have colleagues, I have friends, I find professionals that I can network with and build. But it's no surprise that currently the politics in America kind of woke us up and led us to wanting to mobilize. We've had Dr. Manna, who you guys know, she's so generous with her time, who's came and spoken at one of our events right before the primaries at a small bar in DC. We like to pick on Habesha businesses. But to kind of take it a step forward, we started in 2017 with a brunch. Why? As you know, a lot of the youth, we like to spend money we don't have. So we figured brunch would be a great way to bring people in. There's always 20% of the population that makes stuff happen, right? But now we want to get that 80% because we're talking about votes. Are you guys familiar with AIPAC, the Jewish meeting where the president and vice president rush to every year? I think down the line as we continue to mobilize our community, I have no doubt that we'll be there. To take it a quick step, 2017, Dr. Abiy became president. September of 2018, a few months later, Ethiopia and Eritrea opened their borders. Habesha Networks kind of took off. So within a year, we went from 8 cities on one day to 15 cities on one day. In between that, 15 cities one day, same time, and we do events throughout the year. But the difference is we have a board of 5 members. We can't make the decision for the people. So the first thing we did is we did a community development event. And this was more of doing a needs assessment. So we did one in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and New York City. We went to 3 cities that we think, have a decent Habesha population. There's more, of course. Planning to do one in Atlanta, Dallas, and Minnesota soon. But we did a needs assessment, and it's so crazy. Our LA group, who did the first, they're kind of like our guinea pigs. They said an attorney came who represents a lot of during this time, it was a child separation. I'm sorry for my lack of political awareness, but they were separating children at the border. What we didn't know was that there were Habeshas who would come through Central America from Ethiopia and Eritrea and were being separated from their children. The only translators they have only translate in Spanish. So, sorry, it gets a little emotional, but anyways, but long story short, it was anyways, we did the needs assessment, and they found out that was the most important thing to us. So we started gathering money, doing these fun events to, again, bring people out who can't get off their phones, right? So we had people start looking up, right? And we started targeting them on their phones, having influential people kind of reaching out to them. So we started targeting the immigration problem, and we called it the Habesha Dream Campaign. And Rebecca Alamayo, an attorney in California, she kind of heads that. So we kind of took that off, and then we asked folks, what else are you looking for? Because 5 people cannot decide for the community. And then folks said, one person said to us at one of our meetings, I have student loan debt. I'm struggling to get out of my parents' house, but I also want to start my own family. How do I then take care of my aging parents? Okay, and a lot of you here, I'm talking about people who don't have the networks that you adults have in this room. I'm talking about people who just don't know much. We had people reach out to us telling us, a lot of people, I'm fortunate enough to speak Amharic. I have a lot of friends who don't speak Amharic. Why can't we put together daycares near heavily dense areas, near metros, where we can have trusted Habashas who speak Amharic and Tigrinya now tutor my children while I'm at work. So when I come home, my children are teaching me Amharic while I'm helping them with their math. You know? So it's a lot bigger than just professional networking. To be completely honest, I mean, you really can't do much without your community, but with it, you can do so much. So long story short, tomorrow's event is called Industry Affairs Building Connections. We want this to be very organic because a lot of times, funny story just now, Dr. Manna, again, we were running through her accolades, and then one of 6 students with a, political science, and then my mom pinches me. I'm like, Mom, I'm 30. I can't get that scholarship you always wanted, So as we, begin to grow and begin to see what's really important and how we should really build, we're always pushed to, long story short, we're always pushed in different directions, but I think now that we're slowly starting to get a grasp of the community, I invite all of you tomorrow. Our event is taking place from 2:00 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be at 77 H Street Northwest. Crew, we have 2 nonprofit organizations coming that we really wanted to highlight and honor in our community. There's so many professionals in here, so many people who can just come learn or just be inspired by the youth. It's $10 admission if you buy your ticket in advance, $15 at the door. There will be magab injera. There will be injera available, as well as an open bar to help the networking. We know how that works. So, and I encourage all of you to come out, and thank you, crew, for saying yes. We want to make sure you guys get in front of the youth. Caleb, as you know, back there with the sounds, when he first heard that we were honoring crew, he canceled his Sunday schedule, and he'll be entertaining us during those 3 hours. So I just want to say thank you. I really encourage all of you to come out and let's grow this organization. Yeah. Both crew and Habasha Networks. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. This is really what we wanted. We want the young to get involved, and now they're calling us, so we should support them. And by the way, Caleb, who's sitting back there, Caleb, he's Dr. Maiganisha for our son, for those of you who don't know. And he works, he DJs, so if you guys have like wedding functions, anything like that, make sure that you caught up to him. I'm going to give about like a few minutes to invite Dr. Malcolm to say a few words. He's from African Diaspora Business Roundtable.
Thank you very much. My few words. Of course, my associate, my partner, Dr. Remy, already said many words, but basically we just wanted to let you know about an organization that we started called the African Diaspora Business Roundtable. It's an initiative of the African Union, and the primary mission is to bring together the American diaspora with African entrepreneurs to do joint ventures and business deals, both in Africa and in America. We've got a base of operations in Prince George's County Economic Development Corporation. We're looking forward to developing warehousing with some logistics to help with the AGOA export to import. We've got a lot of things we can do. I mean, I heard somebody told me there's $3 trillion in the African budget on the continent, and we've got $1 trillion over here with the African Americans. We need to do something about that so we all can make some money. If you're more interested, sign up for me over here, and I'll send you information about the organization. Thank you very much.
Okay, if I can have your attention, please. There are so many people that I wanted to thank that helped us put this event together. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Getachew Bagashaw who kind of put us together with the embassy so that we can have this venue. And he also helped us in distributing the call for paper through the Ministry of Education in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I'd like to thank Binyam, who's probably just stepped out, who's representing the embassy here. I just wanted to thank him for welcoming us and doing just about everything that we ask and making us feel at home. I also like to thank Blaine. Blaine is not here, but Blaine is a young lady that does a lot for us behind the scene. Whether it is posting something on the social media or preparing a flyer or anything, Blaine is always available. And I just want to say thank you to her. Also, I'd like to thank our guests, Dr. Menna Bethlehem, who had come all the way from North Dakota, and Dr. Remy. I'd like to thank our hosts, Kadist, and my daughter, Roha. And I also like to thank Dr. Getachew Metafara, because there are several times that crew had really gone to a point where we cannot go on. And he's always there to support us and say, like, you know, you have not done all your work that you need to do. There is more to do. So I do appreciate all the help that you've given us and the support and everything. And also I'd like to thank Wezero Almaz to come in and to speak in such a short notice, especially after you traveled from New York this morning. So thank you all for coming. I hope you all had you know, something out of this conference, and I hope that we'll continue, you know, to work together. And that's it.